Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Hyperion, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed nothing but empty space. Yet the sensors told a different story. Something massive was moving out there, something that shouldn't exist. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the bridge. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers danced across his console. "The anomaly is still growing, Captain. Energy readings are off the charts, but they don't match anything in our database. It's as if space itself is being consumed." The Hyperion was humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, equipped with technology that had propelled Earth from a single-planet species to a significant interstellar power in just 3 centuries. But nothing in their experience had prepared them for this. A new alert flashed across the main display. "Captain, we're picking up a distress signal," Communications Officer Patel announced. "It's not using any known protocol, but the AI is translating it now." The bridge crew watched as alien symbols transformed into Earth standard. The message was simple but chilling. "It hungers. It comes. Help us." "Source?" Chen asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be simple. "The signal's originating from within the anomaly, Captain. But there's more." Patel's dark eyes widened. "The transmission includes coordinates that match perfectly with Earth's position in the galaxy." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever was out there knew about Earth, and it was asking for help specifically from humans. After centuries of searching for advanced alien life, this wasn't how she'd imagined first contact would go. "Ma'am," Security Chief Winters interrupted, "we're detecting a new signature. Something's emerging from the anomaly." The holographic display shifted, showing a vessel unlike anything they'd ever seen. It was organic and geometric at the same time, its surface shifting between states like a quantum particle refusing to be observed. It was beautiful, alien, and absolutely terrifying. "They're broadcasting again," Patel reported. "Video signal this time." Chen nodded. "Put it through." The being that appeared on their screen was Bechtel, but clearly not human. Its crystalline skin seemed to pulse with internal light, and its eyes, all 4 of them, held an intelligence that spoke of millennia of civilization. "Children of Earth," it spoke, its words translated by their AI. "I am Ambassador Zixtal of the Luminary Collective. We have watched your species rise to the stars with great interest, but now we come to you not as observers, but as suppliants. The void hungers, and your world may be its next meal." Chen straightened in her chair. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth spaceship Hyperion. We're picking up massive energy disturbances from your location. What exactly is the void?" The ambassador's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "It is death incarnate, Captain. A cosmic entity that devours not just matter and energy, but space-time itself. We have fought it across 12 galaxies, lost countless worlds to its hunger. But in our studies of your species, we discovered something unique. Your approach to physics and reality itself differs from all other known civilizations." "How so?" Chen asked, though she had a suspicion she knew what the ambassador meant. Humanity's breakthrough in quantum manipulation had come from a direction no other species had considered. Treating reality not as a set of rules to be followed, but as a suggestion to be negotiated with. Your species alone has developed what we call probability drives, technology that doesn't just bend the rules of physics, but rewrites them entirely. This may be our only hope against an enemy that exists outside conventional physics. Before Chen could respond, new alarms blared. The anomaly was expanding rapidly, and now they could see what was causing it. Through the tear in space came something that defied description. A mass of darkness that seemed to absorb not just light, but the very fabric of reality around it. "By all the stars," Rodriguez whispered, "the sensors say that thing is bigger than Earth's solar system." The ambassador's next words chilled them all. "That, Captain Chen, is merely one of its tendrils. The full entity is beyond measurement. We need humanity's help, or this galaxy will join the 12 we've already lost." Chen looked at her crew, then back at the ambassador. This was far beyond their mission parameters, beyond anything humanity had prepared for. But as she watched the void entity consuming space itself, she knew they had no choice. "Ambassador," she said, her voice firm, "the Hyperion is at your disposal. But first, tell us everything you know about this thing. If humanity is going to help save the galaxy, we need to understand exactly what we're fighting." As the ambassador began to explain, Chen couldn't help but think that this was why humanity had reached for the stars in the first place, not just to explore, but to face the unknown and find ways to overcome it. They were about to put that spirit to the ultimate test. The Hyperion's quantum engines hummed as they pushed the ship through folded space, racing back to Earth with their alien passengers. Captain Chen had never seen the drive engineers looking so excited. The Luminary Collective's representatives had been sharing their observations of human technology, and apparently, humanity had been using their probability drives in ways no one had imagined possible. "It's brilliant in its simplicity," Engineer Zhao explained during the emergency briefing. Her hands moved animatedly as she spoke, displaying holographic models of their drive systems. "We've been using quantum uncertainty as a propulsion method, but the luminaries say we're actually manipulating the fundamental nature of reality itself. We just didn't realize the full implications." Ambassador Zixtel's crystalline form pulsed with agreement. "Your species approached faster than light travel from a unique perspective. Instead of trying to overcome the laws of physics, you simply convinced reality to reconsider its position on the matter." Security Chief Winters snorted. "That's humans for you. Why climb over a wall when you can talk it into becoming a door?" But the levity was short-lived. The holographic displays shifted to show the void entity's progress through space. 3 star systems had already been consumed in the time it took them to reach Earth, leaving behind nothing but empty darkness that defied all known laws of physics. "The entity feeds on possibility itself," Zixtal explained. "It doesn't just destroy matter and energy. It eliminates all potential futures, all quantum states, leaving behind spaces where reality itself cannot exist." Chen watched the tactical displays with growing concern. "How have you fought it before?" "With great difficulty and little success," another luminary, Science Director Valen, admitted. Their crystalline form shifted to a deeper blue, indicating distress. "Conventional weapons are useless. You cannot harm something that exists partially outside our reality. We've managed to slow its advance, but never stop it." The Hyperion emerged from quantum space near Earth's moon, and Chen felt her breath catch. The combined fleet of Earth's defense forces had assembled, everything from massive battleships to smaller, more experimental vessels. But what caught everyone's attention was the new construction around Earth's orbital rings. "The Quantum Forge," Zhao whispered with something like awe. "They've activated it." The massive structure spanning Earth's equatorial orbit had been humanity's most ambitious project, a facility capable of manufacturing technology that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. It had been theoretical, experimental, and according to most of Earth's allies, completely impossible. "Impossible is just a challenge we haven't overcome yet," came a new voice. Fleet Admiral Hassan's hologram appeared in the briefing room. "Captain Chen, your first contact report was most illuminating. I believe we've been preparing for this moment without even knowing it." The Admiral's hologram was joined by others, the heads of Earth's various defense and research divisions. What they revealed next left even the luminaries speechless. "Project Probability Cascade," Admiral Hassan explained, displaying schematics that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "We've been developing weapons that don't just bend probability. They shatter it, creating spaces where the impossible becomes mandatory rather than optional." The luminaries' crystalline forms flickered with intense light, their equivalent of astonishment. "You can enforce specific quantum states across space-time?" Valim asked, their translator barely keeping up with their excitement. "Better," Zhao said, finally understanding what she was seeing. We can create spaces where multiple contradictory states must exist simultaneously. If this entity feeds on possibility, then we force-feed it impossibility. Chen finished, a grim smile forming on her face. We make it choke on paradox. The displays showed the void entity's projected path. It would reach Earth's space in less than a month. But now, looking at the impossible weapons Earth had been developing in secret, Shen felt something she hadn't expected: hope. "There's more," Admiral Hassan said. "The quantum forge isn't just building weapons. It's creating something we've only theorized about until now. A fleet of ships that exist in quantum superposition, vessels that are simultaneously present and absent, warships that can rewrite local physics at will." The luminaries gathered around the display, their crystalline bodies resonating with newfound energy. "Your species," Zixtel said slowly, "truly is remarkable. You've developed defenses against a threat you didn't even know existed." "Not defenses," Winters corrected, studying the weapon schematics. "Possibilities. We've just been doing what humans always do, pushing boundaries, asking what if, and refusing to accept that anything is truly impossible." Admiral Hassan's hologram nodded. "Captain Chen, your mission has changed. The Hyperion will be the first ship to be upgraded with the new quantum state technology. You and your crew, along with our luminary allies, will lead the first strike against this entity. We're not just going to fight the impossible, we're going to redefine it." As the briefing continued, Shen looked around at her crew and their alien allies. Humanity had reached for the stars not knowing that they would be needed, had developed impossible weapons without knowing their true purpose. Now, facing an enemy that devoured reality itself, they would prove why humanity had always succeeded where others had failed, because they didn't just think outside the box. They questioned why the box existed in the first place. The Hyperion hung in space at the edge of the Arcturus sector, but it was no longer the same ship that had made first contact with the luminaries. Its hull shimmered with quantum uncertainty, existing in multiple states simultaneously. The vessel was both there and not there, a paradox given form through human ingenuity and determination. Captain Chen stood on the bridge, watching the tactical displays with her crew and their luminary allies. The void entity's advance had slowed, almost as if it sensed the trap humanity had laid for it. "All ships report ready," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. The quantum-enhanced fleet spread out in a formation that would have been impossible under normal physics. Ships occupying the same space in different probability states, weapons primed with paradox-inducing charges. "The entity is responding," Ambassador Zixtel observed, their crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. "It's never shown this level of caution before." They watched as the darkness approached, a mass of anti-reality that bent space around it. But this time, something was different. Tendrils of void began to take shape, forming into something almost comprehensible, a mockery of a fleet, as if the entity was attempting to mirror its opponents. "It's adapting," Engineer Zhao said, her fingers dancing across her console as she analyzed the readings. "The quantum signatures suggest it's trying to understand our probability manipulation." Chen smiled grimly. "Then let's give it something to think about. All ships, execute Operation Uncertainty." The human fleet began to move, but not in normal space. Each ship activated its probability drive in a precisely calculated sequence. Reality rippled as vessels phased between states, creating a web of quantum entanglement that surrounded the void entity's pseudo-fleet. "Energy spike," Rodriguez called out. "The entity is attempting to consume the quantum states." "Now," Chen ordered. The Hyperion's new weapons came online. They didn't fire beams or projectiles. Instead, they launched packets of pure probability, each one containing mathematical impossibilities wrapped in quantum paradox. Where they struck the void entity's manifested fleet, space itself shuddered. The entity reacted violently. Its tendrils lashed out, attempting to devour the attacking ships. But wherever it reached, it found nothing to consume. The human vessels existed in states of quantum flux, never fully present in any one reality. "It's working," Security Chief Winters reported, excitement creeping into her usually stoic voice. "The entity can't maintain its fleet formation. Our paradox weapons are forcing it to process too many impossible states at once." The battle unfolded across multiple layers of reality. Traditional sensors couldn't track most of what was happening, but the quantum-enhanced displays showed the true scope of the conflict. Human ingenuity faced off against cosmic horror, and for the first time in 12 galaxies, the horror was being pushed back. Multiple breaches detected in the entity's quantum structure, Zhao reported. "The probability cascade is working. It's creating spaces where the entity's own nature contradicts itself." But the void entity wasn't defeated easily. It suddenly shifted strategy, abandoning its fleet formation and condensing into a single point of absolute negation, a hole in reality itself. "All ships, fall back," Chen ordered, but it was too late for some. 3 human vessels vanished as the entity's counterattack swept through space, erasing not just the ships but the very possibility that they had ever existed. "No," Zixtol whispered, their crystalline form dimming. "We've seen this before. It's going to." The entity exploded outward, sending waves of anti-reality in all directions. But humanity had planned for this too. The quantum-enhanced fleet shifted formation again, and Chen gave the order they'd been waiting for. "Execute Protocol Paradox Prime." Every ship in the fleet activated their specially modified probability drives simultaneously. Instead of avoiding the entity's attack, they leaned into it, each vessel generating a field of controlled impossibility. When the wave of anti-reality met these fields, something unprecedented happened. Space itself seemed to hiccup. The void entity's attack didn't just fail. It rebounded, caught in a loop of recursive probability that forced it to experience every possible outcome simultaneously. "The entity is retreating," Rodriguez announced triumphantly. "It's pulling back from the quantum entanglement field." Chen watched as the darkness withdrew, leaving behind a sector of space that buzzed with quantum instability. They had done it. Humanity had found a way to hurt something that consumed reality itself. But as the celebration began on the bridge, Chen noticed something in the sensor readings that made her blood run cold. The entity wasn't just retreating, it was changing, adapting. And in the quantum wake of its withdrawal, she saw patterns forming, patterns that looked disturbingly like human probability mathematics. "It's learning," she said quietly, and beside her, Ambassador Zixtel's crystalline form pulsed in agreement. "We've heard it, yes, but we've also taught it something about how we think, how we fight." The victory was real, but as Chen looked at the tactical displays showing the entity's withdrawal, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven they could fight back against the impossible, but in doing so, they might have sparked an arms race that would reshape the very nature of reality itself. The quantum forge hung in Earth's orbit like a constellation of impossible mathematics, its structure continuously shifting between states of reality. Inside its main strategic chamber, Captain Chen stood before a gathering of humanity's greatest minds and their luminary allies, the holographic displays showing their recent battle with the void entity. "It's not just learning our tactics," Engineer Zhao explained, highlighting patterns in the entity's behavior. "It's absorbing our understanding of quantum mechanics. Each engagement makes it stronger, more adaptable." Admiral Hassan's hologram nodded grimly. "The entity has consumed 12 galaxies worth of knowledge and technology. Now it's adding our innovations to its arsenal." The room fell silent as they watched a simulation of their next predicted encounter. The entity's new abilities, combined with its fundamental nature, made for a terrifying opponent. Traditional probability manipulation would no longer be enough. "There might be another way," came a quiet voice. Dr. Sarah Chen, the captain's younger sister and one of Earth's leading quantum theorists, stepped forward. Her hands trembled slightly as she interfaced with the holographic systems. "The entity feeds on possibility, yes, but what we've discovered is that it doesn't just consume, it integrates. Every civilization it's devoured, every technology it's absorbed, becomes part of its fundamental structure. The displays shifted, showing complex mathematical models that made even the luminaries' crystalline forms pulse with confusion. "We've been thinking about this wrong," Sarah continued. "We're not fighting a cosmic horror. We're fighting the ultimate library." Ambassador Zixtel moved closer to the displays, their form-shifting colors rapidly. "By the eternal stars, she's right. The patterns we're seeing, they're not just adaptations. They're memories." Captain Chen felt a chill run down her spine as she began to understand what her sister was suggesting. The civilizations it consumed, they're still in there, aren't they? Sarah nodded. "Not conscious, not alive in any way we'd recognize, but their knowledge, their fundamental understanding of reality. It's all preserved within the entity's structure, and that's its weakness." The holographic displays updated, showing a new kind of weapon. It wasn't the paradox-inducing technology they'd used before, but something far more ambitious and far more dangerous. "We call it the resonance key," Sarah explained. "Instead of fighting the entity with probability manipulation, we go deeper. We create a quantum frequency that resonates with every piece of absorbed knowledge, every stolen technology, every consumed civilization's understanding of reality." "And what happens then?" Admiral Hassan asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Chain reaction," Sarah said softly. "All that knowledge, all that power, trying to express itself simultaneously. The entity's own nature would work against it. It wouldn't just be forced to process multiple states of reality. It would have to process every state of reality it has ever consumed, all at once." The implications hit the room like a physical force. The luminaries' crystalline forms dimmed in shock, while the human scientists began rapid calculations on their datapads. "The power requirements would be astronomical," Zhou said. "We'd have to channel enough energy to rewrite the quantum state of an entire sector of space. More than that," Sarah added, "we'd need a delivery system that could survive direct contact with the entity long enough to initiate the resonance." Captain Chen looked at the calculations, then at her sister. "A suicide mission." "Yes," Sarah admitted. "The ship and crew would have to be quantum-linked to the weapon itself. There would be no coming back. They would become part of the resonance, their own understanding of reality adding to the cascade effect." Admiral Hassan's hologram flickered as he processed this information. "The Hyperion's quantum modifications make it the only ship capable of carrying such a weapon." "Captain Chen, I wouldn't ask." "I volunteer," Chen said immediately, cutting him off. "My crew and we've seen what this thing can do. If there's a chance to stop it, no matter the cost." But Sarah was shaking her head. "It's not that simple, sis. The resonance has to be perfect, which means I need to be there too. The weapon will require constant adjustments based on the entity's responses. Nobody else understands the underlying theory well enough." The room erupted in debate. Plans were made and discarded, alternatives proposed and rejected. But in the end, they all knew there was only one real option. The void entity was learning, adapting, growing stronger with each encounter. They had to strike now, while they still could. As the details were finalized, Captain Chen found herself standing with her sister at one of the Quantum Forge's observation windows, watching Earth rotate below them. "You know what's funny?" Sarah said, not looking away from the view. "All those civilizations it consumed, all that knowledge it absorbed, it never really understood any of it. It just collected, stored, used. But we humans, we don't just use knowledge. We transform it. We take ideas and make them into something new." Chen reached out and squeezed her sister's hand. "And that's why we're going to win." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. The resonance key was integrated into the Hyperion systems, its impossible mathematics bleeding into the ship's quantum-enhanced structure. The crew, given the option to transfer, unanimously chose to stay. As they made their final preparations, Ambassador Zixtal approached the Chen sisters with a gift, crystalline pendants that pulsed with inner light. These contained the combined knowledge of the luminary collective, the ambassador explained, not just scientific understanding, but art, philosophy, music, everything that makes us who we are. If we are to be remembered, let it be for more than just our deaths. Captain Chen accepted the pendant, feeling its weight both physical and metaphorical. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before, not just fighting against the impossible, but reshaping it entirely. And as the Hyperion prepared to depart, its hull shimmering with quantum uncertainty and new purpose, she couldn't help but think that this was humanity's greatest strength, not just facing the impossible, but choosing to face it together, turning even sacrifice into an act of creation. The Hyperion moved through quantum space like a ghost, its modified systems allowing it to exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously. On the bridge, Captain Chen watched as her sister made final adjustments to the resonance key, the weapon's impossible mathematics reflecting off her determined face. The entity's changing course, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. It's noticed us. The tactical displays showed the truth of it. The vast darkness was shifting, moving to intercept them with purpose. But this time, instead of showing caution, it was accelerating toward them. It thinks it knows what we're capable of now, Sarah said, not looking up from her calculations. It's confident it can counter our probability weapons. Engineer Zhou's hands flew across her console. Resonance key is at 90% synchronization. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it soon. The void entity's approach was different this time. Instead of manifesting a fleet or consolidating into a point of absolute negation, it spread out into a web of dark tendrils that seemed to probe reality itself. It's scanning us, Ambassador Zixtal observed, their crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. It recognizes the quantum signatures of our technology. Captain Chen nodded. Good. Then let's give it something new to think about. All hands, prepare for final approach. Sarah, her sister, looked up, fingers still dancing across holographic equations. Ready. Remember, we'll only get one shot at this. The moment we activate the key, there's no turning back. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, each person aware that these were likely their final moments. The luminaries' crystalline pendants pulsed in harmony with the ship's quantum field, adding their civilization's knowledge to the equation. As they approached optimal range, the entity finally showed its true power. Space itself began to warp and tear around them, as it deployed variations of every weapon, every defense it had absorbed over millennia of consumption. Energy beams that rewrote physics, gravity weapons that crushed probability, temporal attacks that aged and de-aged matter simultaneously. But the Hyperion was ready. Its quantum state shifted constantly, making it impossible to hit with conventional attacks. The crew had trained for this, had accepted their fate, and moved with the precision of those who had nothing left to lose. Now, Sarah called out as they reached the critical point, initiating resonance key. The weapon activated, and reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The Hyperion's quantum field expanded, carrying with it not just human understanding of physics, but the combined knowledge of the luminary collective. The void entity, sensing the attack, tried to withdraw, but it was too late. The resonance key didn't just attack the entity. It awoke every piece of knowledge, every scrap of understanding it had ever consumed. 12 galaxies worth of science and wisdom, art and music, dreams and fears, all trying to express themselves simultaneously through the entity's own structure. It's working. Sarah shouted over the sound of reality straining around them. The resonance is causing a cascade effect. They watched in awe as the void entity began to transform. Its darkness became shot through with threads of light, each one representing a different civilization's understanding of reality. The entity tried to adapt, to integrate this new attack, as it had all others, but this was different. It wasn't just fighting human technology. It was fighting against every bit of knowledge it had ever stolen. Hull integrity failing, Rodriguez reported calmly. Quantum field collapse in 30 seconds. Captain Chen looked at her crew, at her sister, at their luminary allies. "It's been an honor," she said simply. But Sarah wasn't done. As the ship began to break apart around them, she made one final adjustment to the resonance key. "If we're going to be part of this," she said, "let's make it count." The key's frequency shifted, and suddenly the Hyperion itself began to change. The ship's quantum field didn't just collapse. It merged with the resonance effect, carrying with it not just the crew's physical forms, but their entire understanding of reality, their human way of seeing the universe. The void entity's form erupted with light as it was forced to process not just knowledge, but wisdom. Not just information, but understanding. Not just power, but purpose. And in that moment, something impossible happened. The entity, trying to process every possible state of reality simultaneously, began to transform. Its darkness didn't just break apart. It transformed, reorganized, became something new. From the safety of Earth, from monitoring stations across the galaxy, they watched as the void entity collapsed in on itself. But instead of leaving behind empty space, it left something else. A new kind of structure, one that existed in multiple states of reality simultaneously, preserving and expressing every piece of knowledge it had ever absorbed. The Hyperion and its crew were gone. But they weren't dead. They had become part of something larger, their understanding of reality woven into the very fabric of this new creation. Months later, Ambassador Zixtel stood before the Galactic Council, explaining what humanity had achieved. They didn't just defeat the entity, they said, their crystalline form glowing with emotion. They transformed it. What was once a force of destruction has become a library of impossible knowledge, a memorial to every civilization it consumed, and a testament to humanity's greatest gift, the ability to take what exists and imagine what could be. The structure left behind by the transformed entity became known as the Chen Memorial Archive, a place where the combined knowledge of 13 galaxies could be accessed, studied, and most importantly, understood. It was neither fully physical nor purely quantum, existing in a state that defied conventional explanation. But perhaps most remarkably, the archive seemed to have inherited something uniquely human, the ability to grow, to change, to transform knowledge into wisdom. It didn't just store information, it encouraged understanding, pushing visitors to see things in new ways, to question assumptions, to imagine possibilities. And sometimes, late at night, researchers working in the archive would swear they could hear laughter echoing through its quantum corridors, the sound of a captain and her sister still exploring the impossible together, their sacrifice transformed into humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the understanding that nothing, not even reality itself, is beyond transformation when viewed through human eyes.